We are going to discuss this Porter's diamond model. Michael Porter is a very well-known American writer on management, and he has given very interesting models. You have seen Porter's value chain model, Porter's five forces, and Porter's diamond. And what we are going to discuss now today is Michael Porter's diamond. This is also called theory of national advantage. Now you can consider this as a continuation or as a, how to say, modern form of Adam Smith's theory of relative advantage or, absolute advantage. So, I mean, 100 years ago, Adam Smith gave that theory that, different nations, they have different conditions, they have different comparative advantage, and they should be producing the things which they can produce best. So they should be doing the things which they are best at. And if you remember from your probably earlier studies in your graduation, whenever if you have ever studied microeconomics or macroeconomics, so the first course on economics always starts with that Adam Smith's theory of comparative advantage, in which we learned that some nations are good in probably, making transistors or radios or electronics, and some nations are better in making or producing probably agricultural products like wheat or probably rice. So because they can produce it at a cheaper rate, or probably they can produce it better, so every nation should, or every country should produce the things which they are best at, because they have got advantage in producing that. So that was the theory of Adam Smith. Now, Michael Porter came up with another, how to say, a modified form of the same idea, of the same concept, because he believed that the Adam Smith's theory, it is a little bit old and it does not cover the factors which we face today in the modern world. So Michael Porter gave this theory in 1990, and he called it, Porter's diamond, and we call it theory of national advantage. And he said that those comparative advantage, or whatever Adam Smith was discussed, he discussed it in a more detail, and he came up with an idea that there are four fundamental factors which put a particular nation or a country in a position to produce something better than others. And those factors, and by the way, the idea, why do we need it actually? The idea is that if you want to compete in the international environment, your home environment should be very suitable for that. So first you become, or first you improve in the home environment, in your home country. And once you become better in your home country, then it becomes easy for you to go abroad into the international markets. So four factors he discussed, and those four factors are typically related to your own home country. It is not about the international environment. These are the conditions which exist in your local environment. So four factors are factor conditions. If you remember, we had that concept of factors of production, land, labor, and capital from economics. So this is, again, I would say, a modified form of the same concept. So what factor conditions they exist in a country, demand conditions, related and supporting industries, and firm strategy, structure, and rivalry. So the first three are environmental things, which you find it within your environment. And the fourth one is related to the one particular entity or a company. So factor conditions, if we go back and we say that, we know land, labor, and capital, these are the factors. But then he divide them into basic factors and advanced factors, or you call them specialized factors and, unspecialized factors. So if we speak about basic factors like raw materials, labor, and then you have skilled labor and unskilled labor. So unskilled labor is the basic factor and skilled labor is the advanced factor. Similarly, you have infrastructure, facilities, power, and energy. So what are the available resources? Factors are the resources which are needed to produce some goods or services. So when you have those factors available in your country, which are in abundance, which are of high quality, or which are available at the cheap at the cheap cost or the cheap price. So that gives a country in an advantageous position to produce that particular good. For example, some countries are rich with metals. They extract a lot of metals. Some countries are rich with oil. Some countries are rich with very fertile land. So it gives them some benefit over other countries when it comes to agriculture. So factor conditions are the available conditions within the local environment. Why do we need it actually? Um, it is not about what are your wishes. It is not about what are your demands. It is not about what are your commitments only. So because you cannot achieve anything and everything based on your wishes or commitment, you need to have suitable conditions. It is just like when you want to plant a tree or plant a crop or plant a garden, you need to see the environment. What is the weather, humidity, water supply, how much water is needed by the crop, how much water is available. So if you want to, plant a crop which needs a lot of water in a land where there is no water, it doesn't matter how committed you are. You might be working very hard 24 hours, but water is not available. What can you do? So conditions are very important. So the same goes with the businesses. When you are setting up businesses, you need to understand your environment. And by the way, this Porter's diamond, it comes under the external environment analysis. If you remember, we had that PEST model in which we analyze the external environment. PEST, sometimes we called it PESTEL: political, economical, social, technological, environmental, and legal. Environmental and legal, it came later. We call it PESTEL. Before it was PEST, only 4 factors: political, economical, social, technological. So these are, PEST was external environment analysis. Porter's diamond is also external environment analysis, because you want to set up a business and that business will be set up in some environment. So before you set up your business, you need to understand the external environment in which your business will exist. And that external environment, it actually is available based on the location, the country, the nation in which you exist. And this is like your advantage. This is your advantage over the others. We call it theory of national advantage, which means that some countries, because of some factor conditions, they have earned that position of advantage over the other nations. So first thing we analyze are factors which are needed in the production of goods and services. And then we said that we call them, basic factors and advanced factors. And then you have specialized factors as well. For example, if we speak about, some research, and so you have some countries, they have some medical research facilities a lot. They focus a lot. They have some institutes, they have some research centers, and therefore it puts them in a position to advance in the field of medical research. So that is an advanced factor condition. But then within medical science, there are then again specialized areas. For example, you can think about, neurosurgery. You can think about some optical devices which they are making. So that goes into specialized factor conditions. Number two, you have demand conditions in your home country. Demand conditions means number one, what is the overall demand in a particular economy? I give you an example. There are some countries which are very small. They have a small population, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million, 20 million. Their local demand is not enough to set up heavy industrial manufacturing plants. If you think about some countries which are like small in size, probably 5 million or 8 million in population, and they want to set up car manufacturing, their local demand is so little that such a big setup might not be able to justify that demand. Demand is so little, project is so huge, there is no fun in making that. But when you speak about large economies like India and China and probably US and Russia and some other countries, and of course many other countries where home demand is also a lot in quantity. So when they start manufacturing some heavy industrial thing, they have a lot of demand from the home country to justify the production levels. So one is, when I say demand conditions, one is the quantity, but another important factor is the other factors of demand. For example, consumer behavior. For example, consumer demands. For example, in some countries, the users, if I speak about Japan or if I speak about US, the users, they are, how to say, advanced users. They need new functions, they need new features, and any product which comes into the market, it has a very short life, because very soon the users, they become, bored or fed up with the product, and they do have money to spend on getting a new product, and therefore the life cycles are very short in these markets, and the companies, they are under pressure to produce, you know, to do innovation and bring the better versions, bring the new product. And they do a lot of innovation because people want to change. People have money to change their devices, electronics, if we speak about, and they are always looking for the new products. And companies, they are forced to do innovation. And therefore, when the overall environment in the market is that consumers are putting pressure on the companies to bring new products with better and improved features, these companies, they become skillful because they are into that competition of doing innovation. They become skillful. So this is demand conditions which are into your local market. One is what is the demand size, and number two, what is the nature of demand. What type of products consumers are demanding, what type of products consumers are putting pressure on businesses to provide. Then number three, you have related and supporting industries. Related and supporting industries, like no company can work on its own. Okay, companies, businesses, they need raw materials, they need services, they need labor, they need infrastructure facilities. So you set up a business, but you do not work in isolation. You need to have support industries as well. So what these support industries are available for something or not, that is also very important. And the last one, we call it firm strategy. Firm strategy, like, okay, these are the factor conditions which are in the external environment. Now, how the businesses, they are using these factor conditions to, uh, conduct their activities. You will have the culture, organizational culture. You will have the business norms, business ethics. We will speak about here organizational structure, flat organizations, tall organization, efficient organizations, inefficient organizations, and the local rivalry. Because when you have a lot of local rivalry, businesses, they become more competitive. The market is very competitive, and businesses are trying to fight with each other. And in order to that, and as a result of that rivalry, the quality of the product and the quality of service improves, and that puts them into a position where they can go to the foreign market and compete with the, in the international markets with better companies, with bigger companies. So these are the four fundamental factors. Apart from these four fundamental factors, we have two influencing factors as well. In sometimes in some books, these influencing factors are given, sometimes these are not given, because there are four main factors fundamental. We call it factor conditions, demand conditions, related and supporting industries, and strategy and structure and rivalry within the home market. Influencing factors are government, because government can influence all of these four factors literally by regulating or deregulating. Government could provide conditions. Government's decisions will either positively impact all of these factors, or it can negatively impact, because there is a role of the government. Government can, for example, if we speak about labor, labor is one of the factor conditions. So if government is investing on education, if government is providing, high quality higher education and investing on the modern areas of knowledge, so it will automatically improve the labor quality. And when the quality of labor and the quality of human resource will improve, it means one of the factor conditions will improve. I give you an example of China here. Why the entire world is going to China? Because Chinese government, they spent a lot on vocational training. When all of the Europe and US was investing on MBAs or was investing on university education, China was investing on vocational training. They were doing skill development. So you would find a lot of skilled labor in China. I mean, we have got a lot of white collar labor in Europe. We have got white collar people in America, people who are not industrial workers, people who do not possess other skills like the skills which are used in, industrial manufacturing. They are missing. But China invested, the Chinese government, they invested on vocational training. Chinese government invested on developing skilled labor, people who could work in factories, people who could work in industries. So you set up a factory, you set up an industry, and you've got a huge labor pool available, which is willing to work with you at probably at a very affordable cost. So factor conditions are impacted by the government. Government also makes investment in all of these areas. Like if I speak about firm strategy, structure, and rivalry, here again the government policies, regulations, and deregulations, how businesses will operate, how businesses will compete, etc. So government definitely can play a role, and that would have a positive or negative impact of all of these areas. And then we call it chance. Chance is something which is there. I mean, by chance, some countries, they are, privileged with some particular thing. I mean, some countries, they have got very good weather. Some countries, they have got, huge oceans and seas. They have got a lot of resources there. Some countries, they have oil. Some countries, they have fertile land. Some countries have some metals, minerals, oils, etc. So chance is also there. So whichever a business must understand, that these are the four fundamental forces, and then of course two influencing forces, which will decide your position, the national advantage of any particular country. And then when a business is choosing the options, when you are making your strategy to for the future, you must see your environment, which environment are you operating, and what advantage that environment gives you. Because when the advantage comes to the environment, to the nation, you also share that advantage, and that puts you in a position to understand who you are and what your strategy should be, which things you can take advantage, which things you can take benefit. So Porter's diamond, it is a short video. We will discuss it in more detail when we will do the full chapter, but this is the introduction of Porter's diamond. The purpose of the Porter diamond is analyze your external environment. How do you analyze? Based on four things: fundamental factors and two influencing factors, and gives you national advantage. This theory of Porter diamond theory, it is, you can consider it as an advanced form of Adam Smith's relative advantage and absolute advantage of nations. Then we are also going to discuss Porter's model. We call it Porter's five forces. That is also external environment analysis. And of course, we will do Porter's value chain. Value chain is not for external environment. That has a different purpose. But when you are going, I mean, if you are into business, I mean, if you are into strategy and business thing, you must understand in very detail Porter's three models. All three of these models, I would say that, I would say without doubt, it is one of my favorite knowledge area, because these are so realistic and they apply so accurately into the real life, in not only in your exams or academic area. These are the things, like whether you talk about Porter's five forces, you talk about Porter's value chain, you talk about Porter's diamond, they are definitely 100% applicable with very little assumptions. In many other areas, the idea is very good, the concept is very beautiful, but then there are some assumptions always there, and you feel that those assumptions, if I make those assumptions, things look very unreal, because you cannot assume those things will happen in the real life. So this idea, I mean, the Porter's model, they have very few assumptions, they are very realistic, very much applicable, not only in academics but in real life as well. All three of them: Porter's value chain, Porter's five forces, and Porter's diamond. And you need to understand the purpose of all these three separately.